What's up, fellow gamers? On episode 396, CB, Alyssa, and I answer video game-related questions from all of you. In news, FIFA ends its contract with EA, and we've also got the latest Video Game Hall of Fame inductees. New games discussed include Trek to Yomi and Tiny Tina's Wonderland. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 396 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It is Tuesday, I had to catch myself there. It's Tuesday, not Sunday, May 10th. I'm your host, Kai Clark, and joining me are my friends, Mr. Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up, man?
Hello, friend.
And Alyssa White, lovely as always. How you doing?
Aw, thank you.
It is so good to be here talking with you guys about video games. I know we did this last week, but unfortunately, Zach couldn't be here today. Work schedule did not make that possible this week. So, Zach, we miss you. We love you, but we'll talk to you again in another week or two. Let's jump right into the games that we've been catching up on. Alyssa, you've been gone for a little while. You've been playing anything new, or playing anything catching up on, or just the new stuff?
I am playing one game, but I'm going to be reviewing it for the site, so we'll talk about that later.
All right, CB, what about you? Anything you've been catching up on?
Ooh, I got things.
Okay.
You've got things.
I got things. First off, I picked up a few new games, and I think about like 5 today. But,
oh my god.
Yeah, but I only got around
5 games.
I only got they're cheap. They're cheap.
Okay.
Like, sometimes like I am. So first off, Stanley Parable.
I went to Midwest Gaming Classic with you. You were not cheap, sir.
Well, okay, when it comes to some things.
Okay.
Stanley Parable.
Oh, I've been wanting to play this so bad.
I have as well.
So, it's the Ultra Deluxe version.
So it's got everything?
I have no idea.
You haven't started it yet?
No, I started it, and I've reached, I think, 2 endings.
Oh, wow. It's really short, or?
Well, I don't know, because this game is weird, man.
All right, so without spoiling too much, because I kind of like the idea of going into this game as fresh as possible, because I've been hearing people talk about it for years, but I have no idea what it is, and you're really bad at not spoiling stuff. So can you try?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no idea what it is.
Okay. Is it a walking simulator? Is it a point and click type game?
So far, it has been a walking simulator with narration.
Okay.
Like voice in your head narration, and things that just
I've heard comparisons to Portal.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I could definitely give that in the same realm, I guess.
All right.
But not really.
Okay, so it's just like Portal, but not.
Well, it's so weird because with Portal, you're actually doing things like this.
Yeah. You're
walking around trying to uncover things. But there's some weird stuff going on in this game, man.
Okay. Is it like a psychological thriller, would you classify it?
More of like existentialism.
Oh, okay. I mean, people talk about this game so highly, but I know very little about it. I just want to play it because of the hype. What makes it so? What makes people want to play it so much?
Yeah, I've heard about it like you so many times that I saw this because it's on Xbox now.
Right, I've had it on my Steam wishlist for forever, and I don't even know if it's on Mac. So, every time it goes on sale, it's like a game on your wishlist is now $1.99, and I just never pull the trigger. So
for $1.99, come on, man.
Well, if I can't play it, I can't. It doesn't really do me any good.
Well, you have it on Xbox now.
Okay.
So
all right.
But just all I can say is just start playing it and read everything on the walls.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you because there is stupid dad humor in this.
All right. Sold. That's all you have to say.
So I'm sold as well.
In. Totally in.
But it definitely is bizarre. So just be ready to really have some thought-provoking conversations with yourself.
Okay. Do you like it? That's the big question.
I'm enjoying it. In fact, as soon as we get done, I'm going to be going right back to it.
Nice. Anything else you've been playing?
So I picked up a little game called Mokono X.
Mokoko X, which you made both Scott and me watch this trailer, and I'm so thankful for that, by the way.
You are so very welcome. For those adult listeners out there, be forewarned. I would not recommend this for anybody under the age of 13.
Well, to be
fair, even though it looks very
like,
cute.
Yeah, there's no nudity or anything like
There's
that.
no nudity, but there are some heavy suggestions.
But the trailer just looks like it's Kicks. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Qix?
Yes. It is essentially Kicks with anime girls.
Like you're uncovering, and I don't mean that to sound as dirty as it sounds, but you were uncovering these anime characters behind the wall that you're slowly peeling apart, that are just doing weird things.
Yeah,
weird things.
They're being chased by even stranger things.
Mm-hmm.
I love this game a lot, by the way.
Seriously?
I beat it. I beat it already.
Are you serious?
I don't even know what Kicks is, to be honest.
So it's basically a square board, and there's you have a little dot that goes along. Like if there's a little opening, and there's a little like electronic thing that like moves along the part, and you basically have to time it. So you press a button, and that thing then goes horizontally or vertically across. And if it makes it all the way across, you uncover that new section, right? Okay. But there's a little bouncy thing going around inside there that can't touch the new wall that you're creating. If you do, then you either lose points or game over. So it's all about timing it so that you have enough time to get that little, I don't know, cursor or whatever from one side to the other.
So you're essentially playing a ship. And so there's a picture, and there's things like moving around the screen. So unlike Kicks, where it was basically you choose horizontal or vertical, this one you can actually steer your way through.
Oh,
so it's like a new age version of Kicks.
So it's not straight lines?
It's not just straight lines.
Interesting.
And the things that are moving around, like there's multiples of them on the screen.
Oh.
And depending on the level, some of them will chase you or run away from you depending on what you're doing.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's definitely a lot of fun.
What a weird game for you to pick up and beat this week.
Yeah. I beat the story mode, which was 24 levels. Mm-hmm. And then there's an arcade mode where you have to do the whole thing on one life, which I'm more than halfway through on one run.
Nice. So you digging it?
Dude, I'm actually loving it. I really want there to be more Kicks-like games because it's a fun, simple style of game.
Just not as pervy.
Yeah, I don't need the pervy elements.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Zach and I both enjoy some fan service games every now and then, but this isn't the type of game that I would want that attached to.
Right.
But man, it's honestly, Scott, do yourself a favor. Download it, play it, you'll like it. Just ignore the women in the background.
Yeah.
Are they women? They don't look like women.
They're women, according to the summary.
According to the story,
Xbox. Okay. Well, actually, I think they have to be. Because of the Xbox game licensure.
That's true.
So, because Xbox would just be like, no, we're not going the Nintendo route this time around.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
As for me, I am still working my way through Rogue Legacy 2. Last time I talked about it, I had taken down one of the bosses. There are 6 bosses. I took down the second boss, and I actually got to the third boss last night and had 1 hit left on her, and I failed. I was doing really, really well. I was going to feel really good about taking a boss down on the first try, but I did not. I feel like I'll have no problem taking that down next time I do a run. Guys, I am absolutely loving Rogue Legacy 2. It just gets better and better the more I go into it. And CB, maybe this will sell you on it a little bit, because I know you were kind of lukewarm about it. You remember the original Rogue Legacy was very Metroidvania style or gear gated style, where it's
you said the word that Zach's gonna hate.
No, he didn't say gear. He didn't say 2D gear.
Well, no, but I said Metroidvania is what she's getting at. But I say Metroidvania on purpose because of the map. You remember, like, the original Rogue Legacy was like you go around this randomly generated map, right? Well, there's a second or third area that you get to that actually plays more like a Dead Cells level, where it's completely left to right. There's no going up and down. It just kind of works as like a platformer level from A to B, which was a refreshing change of pace. And it just kind of threw a wrench in the fire that was really interesting, I thought. I mean, it's still randomly generated. You have just different placed enemies and things that you have to go through, but and then there are secret doors that you find along the way, just like in Dead Cells, that unlock certain things. Dude, just everything that they've changed about this game from the original makes it such a better game. And I was worried about it when I started because it was so complicated. There are so many moving parts in this thing to keep track of. Did either of you play Rogue Legacy, like the first one? I don't remember.
I have not.
Well, I love the fact that you keep saying you're lukewarm on it. I'm like, no, it's still on my Xbox. I'm still playing it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you had still been playing it, because I talked to you about it when we got together for D&D, and you just sound like, yeah, it's okay, or maybe that was
just because I like taking jabs at you.
Oh, okay. So there's in the original, it was all about upgrading your gear and how much gear you can carry and how many runes you can carry and all that. They've taken that a step further, where you have something called resolve, and you have a very high resolve percentage, well over 100%. And every time you pick up a new item, Binding of Isaac style, that item costs a certain amount of resolve, and it actually lowers your resolve. And if you hit under 100% resolve, it starts to take away your max HP. So it's not you're not necessarily going to just grab every single item that you find. You kind of have to think, do I want this item? Is it worth how much resolve this costs? Is it worth the push and pull? So obviously the better items are going to cost more resolve and might be worth it, but it's going to affect your HP and I don't know. And then there's just all these different extra things you can do on the side that are super fun. Actually getting to the bosses are difficult. Like, you can't just get to the boss door. You have to figure out how to open the boss door by discovering these, tomes that give you, or notes that are left behind for you that give you some kind of clue. Like one of them, and this is actually to progress the game, not to just find some secret bonus item or whatever. You read this one note left for you that says, the fifth lantern from the right, or something like that, aim to the left, and that's all it gives you. And you just have to randomly come across this room that is marked for some reason, and just follow those instructions, and you just have to get lucky and find it or know that it's there. There are things like that the game doesn't outright tell you. You kind of have to figure out in order to progress the actual game, which I just thought was really cool. On top of that, there are hidden items you find specific to each area that will help you with the boss fight. So the boss that I just didn't kill, the third boss that I told you about, I found an item that when you do fight that boss, it adds an extra 15% damage to all your weapons and magic. And it's only for that boss, which is kind of cool. It's an item that you get that only works in that level. And I don't know, they've done so much different with the formula of Rogue Legacy 2, and I keep just discovering new ways to play it, and I'm learning as I go. And the grind just never feels like a grind. Every run, even when you die, feels almost like, all right, cool, I can go cash in my gold now. It never feels like a failure. It just feels like, all right, I'm just going to go again. I love it so much.
I actually still like the little shrines, like the platforming shrines.
Oh, where you actually learn this, you earn new abilities, you mean?
Yeah. I'm really liking those.
Yeah, I just got the one where you get the double jump. And you have to navigate double jumps in a way that I've not had to do double jumps in quite a long time. And they're not super difficult, but it's training you how to use those new items, which are really, really cool. Which item did you get that you're talking about? I've
gotten 2 of them.
Okay.
I had one where you use your weapon for a double jump.
Right.
And then
it's the boots that you can attack down, basically.
Yeah. There was that one, and then the air sprint.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which when that first was introduced, and there's a sprint in this game now, or a dash, I guess it would probably be a better way to. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this game. That dash, that wasn't in the original game, and now it's second nature to me. It's awesome.
Yeah, it works,
good. And it just opens up all sorts of possibilities for platforming. There's one item when you get the double jump. In order to get the double jump, you have to cross this lake that you can't make it across. And you don't even notice it, but there are tiny little shiny things in the water that are just barely visible. Those are the little things that you can actually do that downward attack to make it across. But the game doesn't tell you that. You just have to find it and discover it and experiment. This game is all about experimentation, which is kind of refreshing, because what a perfect game to experiment, because if you mess up, who cares? You just do another run, cash in your gold, upgrade some stuff, and I just love it so much. This is a serious heavy contender for my game of the year so far. Obviously, I'm only about halfway through it, but absolutely loving it. So many hours for $25. Can't go wrong. So
yeah.
Rogue Legacy 2. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. All right, first off, Xbox has had some online issues this past weekend. 2022 has finally given us the World Video Game Hall of Fame inductees. They were announced this past week. Also, Sony shipped about 19.3 million PS5 consoles to date. That was news. Gotham Knights will only be a current-gen game. That was announced actually today, I believe. And lastly, FIFA ends its contract with EA. That seems like pretty huge news, but Alyssa, I'm going to let you kick things off. What would you like to talk about?
I'll save the one thing I was going to talk about for CB because I know he's excited to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw so many people on Twitter mentioning the Xbox Live outage.
Yes. Were you affected?
I was not. I was actually playing the game that I'm playing for review during the outage, and I did not realize there was an issue.
Okay. Were you playing in offline mode? Because I was told that if you set your console to offline mode...
I was not in offline mode.
Interesting. I didn't have any issues either, but that was because I wasn't playing during the outage. So I was a little nervous because I really wanted to play when I got home, and I did not have any issues whatsoever. So I had heard that... okay, so let's kind of back up and explain what happened. People were not able to purchase games, digital games that is, and were not able to play their digital games that they had purchased. Now, I had but I had read some comments from people that said, if you were game sharing, you weren't able to play the games that were not on your home or that were not on your home console. So, like, if CB and I were sharing, I would not be able to play the games that he purchased on my console. So some people were saying, well, boo-hoo, you're game sharing. Play the games you paid for, kind of thing. Some people were saying that as long as you went to offline mode, that worked. Again, I can't speak from experience, but boy, did Twitter blow up and get angry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was something like 2 different instances, one for like 9 hours, one for, I don't remember how long the other one was, 11 hours, something like that. And people were demanding like their money back. And I mean, it sucked, right? It's on the weekend.
Especially.
If you don't work on the weekend and that's your time to game, I get it, but.
I always love that the first thing that people like, I demand my money back. And I'm like, hey, man, things happen. It's the world. Like, the only thing that sucks is those people that have like the Xbox One S. It's like, congrats, you have a brick.
Right, at least until it's fixed, because you don't have a disc. Because you could play disc-based games, no problem. But if you had a Series S, you literally had nothing to do with it. And they even said like Netflix and Disney Plus and stuff weren't working on it, so you couldn't even like watch a movie or whatever. But
man, I love physical games.
Yeah, that was a win for physical media people for sure, but it's not like we had plenty to do anyway. But that was an interesting weekend.
Yeah, I feel for people when this happens, but I mean, guess what? It's the internet. Sometimes it goes down, man.
Right.
That's true.
And to be clear, I feel it almost angers me that I have to say this every time something like this comes up in terms of different platforms. I would be saying the same thing if it happened on Sony. This is not me just sticking up for Microsoft or Switch or whatever. Like, wherever it happened, we live in a technology age where things kind of go down. It's part of the gig. And that's the downside of digital games, is that if something like that happens. But here's what's really funny to me. That basically means, it's proving that your Xbox is an always online console now. Remember when that was like the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, we got an offline console. It's the Xbox 360. They just kind of sneaked it in there.
You say that, but again, if you buy physical, you can still play offline.
If you have a disk drive.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the game doesn't need any updates.
Pretty. Well, no. Okay. To be fair, you can still play games without an update.
You can.
They don't always work as intended, but they do work.
Right. So that was an interesting weekend. But CB, what about you? What do you want to talk about?
Oh man, I got all kinds of things to talk about this week.
All right.
First off, I want to bring up quickly this FIFA and EA thing.
I didn't even know about this until we sat down to start recording. You actually brought this to my attention.
2-decade partnership. Gone.
Yep.
That seems huge to me. That seems
well,
really huge.
Yeah.
Not only that, but so okay, to be fair, EA is still making soccer/football games, but it will now be called EA Sports FC, so EA Sports Football Club.
But does that mean they can't use the team names from FIFA anymore?
I don't know.
So they're gonna have
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know, the Edinburgh Eagles or something. I don't even know if it's a real place in Europe.
Well, Edinburgh is a real place.
Okay, see, there you go.
But it brings it brings an interesting thing to light, because we all know that a lot of these companies, it's all about the dollars.
The Benjamins.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the world's largest sport, FIFA, was just like, nope, we're not going to do this anymore. Like that's huge. Like,
what's
FIFA's
the reason? What's the reason why? Were they get not a big enough cut? Or
I still haven't heard. I just heard about it before we started recording, which is why I was like, we need to bring this up, because
I know there have been talks. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there has been talks about kind of opening things up, like how MLB The Show, like the Major League Baseball's exclusivity rights with Sony ended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think FIFA's contract was coming up, and basically EA was just like, yeah, we're still going to do it. And they're like, no, we want more money.
Yeah, but that's a console issue versus a publisher issue, right? Because FIFA, it plays on all consoles, whereas the exclusivity before it was only on PlayStation consoles, and now it's on Xbox consoles. It's
True.
only on... Wait, is it... No, it's on both.
Yeah, it's on both. But Sony had locked up the deal for Major League Baseball to make their games.
Right.
EA had the lockup for FIFA. So now that they're not renewing, somebody else can pick it up and run with it.
Man,
but
do you think somebody will? Because, I mean, how do you topple?
That's a lot of... Well, here's the thing. Again, it's the largest sport in the world.
Right.
That's going to be a massive, massive deal with whoever picks it up.
I mean, they could do something as simple as like a mobile game. I don't mean that. I don't mean simple. That's not the right word to say. They could put something on mobile that could be a huge hit using the FIFA license.
It depends on how many dollars you want to spend.
You mean me as a consumer or me as a developer?
As a developer.
Mm-hmm.
Because buying those rights is going to be massive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if EA is not going to afford it, or I don't, that's me speculating as to why the deal's not happening anymore or why the contract is ending, but 2-decade partnership. That's nuts. It's going to be so weird to see an EA football game without FIFA, not called FIFA.
Yeah.
Just FIFA EA seems... Sports FC.
It just sounds... That just
the mouthful.
Right. EA Sports FC.
21.
It's
22.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you remember when they ended granted it was for different reasons, but when all the golf games, like the Tiger Woods games, were no longer Tiger Woods. That was huge.
Oh, yeah.
And then they were like Roy McIlroy, and that kind of went bye-bye too.
Nobody did that. Here's the thing, though. They can call it whatever they want. It's still going to sell.
Yeah. I want to get back to you on that, because I want to find out why exactly this fell apart, because I'm willing to bet somebody asked for the B word and they were like, no.
Probably. Who do you think, or who would you guess would do something with the license next?
Activision.
Well, you just want that because they're with the Xbox now. So,
no. Well,
I mean, officially.
Why Activision's made sports games in the past,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think. Making sports games has always been an EA thing,
right? EA Sports,
it's in the game.
Yeah, that's just
so. Yeah, I have no idea who's going to pick this up and run with it, because
what else are they going to talk about at the EA press conference at E3?
I don't know, because it's always been FIFA.
Well, I mean, E3's not happening this year, at least, so they don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, but they're still gonna. There's still gonna be press conferences.
Yeah, they can't hold their own personal presser on FIFA.
Mm-hmm. I always felt like that was 20 minutes of the conference, and I'm like, all right, it's time to go get a snack.
It's gonna be hey, we still have Madden.
Yeah, that's true. I was being cynical. I don't actually think that's all they do, but
I'm wondering how long that's gonna go, because with John Madden passing away, how long till his estate's no, we're going to let somebody else do this now.
Who?
I don't know, but if FIFA walks away, man, like that's the largest sport in the world.
Yeah, it literally is.
So it's going to be a weird time for
Joe
sports
Buck
video
23.
Games. Oh God. Don't ever say that name in my presence. I will beat you with a 2x4.
Troy Aikman.
Ugh.
I'm just trying to think of who. Like nobody carries anywhere near as much clout as Madden. But again, I feel like people are so ingrained with the EA American football, property at this point that you could put any announcer on there and it would still sell.
Well, it'll probably actually, if it doesn't become Madden anymore, it'll just be NFL football.
Probably, it'll probably be the safer way to go. Just NFL, like what they used to do with the Dreamcast games, or not Dreamcast. Was it the Dreamcast? NFL 2K.
Well, there was 2K series.
Yeah, the 2K
MLB
series.
2K, NBA 2K.
Right.
So
anyway, that just seems like very huge news. So the story I wanted to talk about, I also felt was pretty big. Gotham Knights, which I know Zach has been chomping at the bit to play that game, was announced today that is only going to be a current gen game. Only Xbox Series S and X consoles, only PS5, no longer an Xbox One or PS4 game. How are you guys feeling about this call?
I don't mind that much, besides it'll probably be a $70 game at launch.
Right. Yeah.
But that's me saying I have the luxury of having both next or current gen consoles. Right. For people that don't have it, that's a bigger issue.
Especially considering how difficult it is to get a current gen console. People are still struggling to get a PS5s. I know that Xbox Series S and X's have been a lot easier to get a hold of. But they've been... Not everybody has them. I don't care if they've shipped 19.3 million of them. How many are actually
only 2 million in consumer hands?
I think that's... No, they've shipped 2 million this quarter, but... I don't know. I kind of like this because if you remember back when we transitioned from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, remember we had all those games that were like somewhere on 360 and then they had an Xbox One version. We've kind of had at least on Xbox, we've had what's that service they call where like it just gives you the best version available. Smart delivery.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Now PS5 has been a little bit goofier where you have to, either pay an up price, you get upcharged for transferring to the PS5 version or whatever, but at least you had the option. But I mean, the console's been out close to 2 years now, right?
It's been a hot minute.
So it'll be 2 years November?
Right. It's a year and a half. But it's getting time where we need to start peeling away.
It's time to let the last generation die.
But it's also easy for us to say that as the three of us all being owners of both current gen consoles. There's still people out there that don't.
To be fair, if I didn't have either one, I would still say it's time to let it die. Because I'm speaking more as a collector standpoint.
Oh, okay.
I hate having to double buy games for a collection.
Gotcha. I mean, you don't have to with PlayStation, right? Because you just pay the digital upcharge. And Xbox, you just get smart delivery version.
I know, but I don't like buying digital.
No, you're not buying digital. You're paying the upcharge.
Oh, that's true.
You have the physical disc still. You just have to pay for
But they have different cases, man. Different cases. But to be fair, like it's been 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like
year and a half.
Oh, coming up on 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let it die.
Well, not let it die. I don't have an Xbox One anymore. I sold it to a friend. But if that's all you got,
But see, I would like them to start pushing the boundaries with what they can make with the new stuff.
Well, that's my thing with Gotham Knights. And to be perfectly direct, it's not a game I'm super interested in playing, but I'm not as ingrained in the DC universe as like guys like you and Zach are. But just the fact that developers can start focusing on the current gen only, because it's not like a copy and paste thing where you just make another version, slap it into the Xbox One X or the PS4.
I'm willing to bet Gotham Knights is going to see a delay because of this now, too.
Really?
Yeah.
They already did have a delay.
Yep, but now that you're completely axing off the current
but my
gen
guess
product,
is that decision was made back when they first delayed this. And
Probably.
they just didn't say it.
They're still gonna have to go through and scrub some code.
Possibly, but I mean, I'm not going to argue with you and say that I'm not going to make a bet on a game not being delayed again. It's just it's just not a safe bet in this environment. But at the same time, who knows? But the big thing, or not the big thing, that's the big news for me is this collector's edition that was announced today too. This $300 collector's edition that people are upset doesn't come with a steelbook case.
Yeah.
I don't know. The statue that it comes with is massive. It has all 4 of the main characters from the game. And I didn't even look at the rest of it. There's got to be an art book and the game.
Oh, yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. But $300. Remember when we were complaining about the Final Fantasy VII Remake one? Wasn't that like $250 or something?
Those,
I think,
like $350.
Was it $350?
Was it?
Yeah, that was a pricey boy.
Maybe it's just because I have a better affinity for Final Fantasy than I do DC. I was like, all right.
I do remember when people were complaining about the Titanfall, I believe, 2 Collector's Edition when it was like $250 because it came with a big statue. Everyone was like, that's so expensive. And now we're getting $350 Collector's Editions.
Well, I mean, because people will pay for it.
That's
especially
true.
collector nerds like CB.
Well, I mean, there is still that Dying Light, like one Collector's Edition that was like $25,000.
Oh, I
remember
remember
that.
that one. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, it's like you get flown to LA to learn parkour.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Dude, it was funny though.
Yeah.
Did anyone buy that?
No, nobody bought it.
Okay.
Because they only made one.
Could you imagine, though, what that would be worth? We got to talk about the Video Game Hall of Fame inductees, too, don't we?
Oh, you gonna make me mad?
I'm going to make you mad? Why?
Because there's a game on that list that should not be there
Just
compared
'cause
to
you
another
don't-
game.
Just because you don't like Dance Dance Revolution.
I was gonna say it's gonna be DDR, isn't it?
But here's the thing: they're like DDR. Let's induct DDR. Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say that to argue that game has not been important to the video game industry.
But at the same time, like, okay, just looking at some of the other ones that didn't make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
Granted,
Candy Crush Saga. You're really mad that one didn't make it?
I made more money. I guarantee it's made more money than Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that thing makes like how many millions a day?
Believe it or not, though, that's not the 2 that I'm mad about.
I already know which 2 you're mad about.
Pray tell.
Assassin's Creed and Resident Evil.
Oh, you're wrong on one of those.
Really?
This is gonna sound really dumb, but I'm mad because it's not Minesweeper.
Oh. I mean, it's not like these games can't be inducted next year. It's just that these are the 4 they chose.
But I would have rather seen Minesweeper over Dance Dance Revolution. Because I loved Minesweeper growing up because it was the game that was on every computer ever.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody over the age of 18 has played Minesweeper at some point in their life.
I can still see the flags in my head right now.
I beat it one time and I was so proud of myself.
Yeah. And like that, like to me, like that was a coming of age thing.
Mm-hmm.
As like a young person on a computer, like you're like, hey man, did you ever beat Minesweeper like once?
It's like the game that nobody has ever paid for, right? Like nobody actually bought it was always installed on every computer.
The first like really free to play game.
Along with the pinball game.
The hyperspace pinball.
Yep. Yep. So why don't you let everybody know what games actually are on the list besides DDR?
Well, first off, the World Video Game Hall of Fame was started in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So
that
you're
seems very early, by the way.
It does.
Or late, rather. That seems very late.
Again, because they didn't have a governing body. But so your 2022 class is Miss Pac-Man, Dance Dance Revolution, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Sid Meier's Civilization, which
I am not mad at that.
To me, I'm actually surprised that it took that long for Sid Meier's Civilization, because again, it's a staple.
Yeah. I could have seen NBA Jam in there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many. Like, if I'm going to choose an arcade game, I'm going to take NBA Jam over Dance Dance Revolution. It had a much larger cultural impact at the time.
Not in Japan.
It's still big in Japan.
Yeah.
Meh.
Dude, it's huge. That is, I mean, when people played it here. Some people played it here, but it is like that's like things that I get the impression that that's just something people just do. Like they go on dates and go play DDR.
Or just like, okay, I'm not trying to knock on anybody, but every time I go near a Dance Dance Revolution machine, I instantly smell Funyuns and BO.
Wow, we are stereotyping our own kind here, man.
Just tell me I'm wrong, though, man.
I can't refute it. I can't.
I don't know if I've ever paid attention to the aroma of a DDR machine. I don't like. I think I've played it like twice in my entire life.
I'm actually surprised that like DDR just immediately wasn't scratched from this list because of COVID.
Oh,
it's a disease machine, man.
Well, yeah,
covered in sweat and boogers.
I was listening to a comedian this last week that referred to DDR as Japanese river dancing, and I could not stop laughing.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
I mean, but like the other games that didn't make it though, Parappa the Rapper, I can understand.
I like that game, but I don't know if I would put that in. Like
I'm glad that it made it. I'm glad that it was nominated as a finalist.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil to me, honestly, should have been a shoo-in.
Me as well.
Because that
it will be.
But that game to me has a bigger cultural impact than DDR.
Again, you're
even
thinking,
in Japan.
I don't think Resident Evil was nearly as big in Japan as it was here.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it is.
Biohazard,
massive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the difference. Maybe they didn't include Biohazard.
They were like, "What is Resident Evil?" Oh, Biohazard.
Yeah.
Rogue. Yeah, I can understand. Words with Friends. Cool, bro. It's there. It'll get there eventually.
I think we all played Words with Friends at some point, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. I love the game series to death, but I think there were better choices. That's why I said not mad about that one.
Okay.
The only reason, honestly, I would actually include Assassin's Creed in the running is because of their, like, we like to include people from all walks of life, different religious backgrounds, like everything. Like that's them.
That's that little disclaimer they put at the beginning of everything.
Yes. So the fact that they do that, even with Ubisoft's other troubles, Candy Crush Saga. Yeah, honestly, that's probably why. But Candy Crush Saga, yeah, I mean, the game makes dollars. Lots of dollars.
Plus, you'd be hard pressed to find a person that doesn't know what Candy Crush Saga is.
I almost feel like that game is just installed on every phone anymore.
It's still installed on mine. I haven't touched it in several weeks.
I have never installed it on mine.
I don't recommend
but I have played it.
Yeah.
I can still say with confidence I've never spent a dime on it. But
hey, sooner or later, it's coming to the Xbox.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even joke about that.
It's owned by them now.
I know. Then I'll never play anything else.
Minesweeper, I'm still a little mad about because that game is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And then
Minesweeper Remix.
I'm actually surprised that hasn't happened.
Or what are the Atari ones that they always did? Extreme.
Redux.
Yeah. Minesweeper Redux. Now with timers. I used to cheat in that game because you could set the settings, and I would just do it so that it would, like, you could press one thing and just watch the whole thing cascade. That was the only way I actually played that game.
Or you do the obverse and you make it so it's all mines.
Right. Yeah. You have to get lucky and get that one that isn't there.
I never knew how to play that game, but the one time I beat it, I was in high school, I think during a business class, and it was just a free day, and I was on the computer just randomly clicking squares, and eventually I won. I'm like, how did I do this?
I was incredibly lucky.
Click.
All right, well, that's the news for the week. Let's go ahead and move on very quickly. I want to remind everybody about our Patreon page. If you'd like to help support the show and maybe hear some extra episodes, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would really appreciate the support. We take every dime that we get to pay for the show and then give back to the community with games that we purchase to review and then give them away to you guys. So we don't keep anything for ourselves. CB, any new episodes that people can check out?
Them Desert Island games with YouTuber Snugboy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there. We have also got Sonic 2 movie spoiler cast / Legacy of Sonic.
With Kevin Honigford, expert aficionado of the Sonic series.
He is all things the blue blur.
Hmm.
And then a Break the Seal on Max Payne 1 and 2 is coming.
And there you have it. Again, if you would like to hear that or any of our past content, we've done our best to record 2 bonus episodes every month, and you sign up now, you get access to everything in the past. We've got legacy episodes. We've got Break the Seal episodes. We've got games that aren't for us, where CB sits down and makes me play games that are not so great. I think we've got a dirty games episode. There's all kinds of stuff that has been a lot of fun, and we would love it if you checked it out at patreon.com/thegocast. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the new games we've been playing. All right, Zach usually takes care of this part for us, but I'm going to run through the new games that people can purchase right now if you're interested. Alyssa, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, but is it Ayuden Chronicle?
I'd say Ayuden.
Ayuden Chronicle Rising, available on Series X and S, Xbox One, PC on May 10th. Salt and Sacrifice, I feel like Zach reviewed that one for us. Wasn't it like a 2D?
Not yet. No,
Dark
that was Salt and
Souls?
Sanctuary.
Salt and
Yeah,
Sanctuary.
it's a very
Okay,
This is
confusing.
the sequel.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That comes to PS4, PS5, and PC on May 10th. Prinny presents NIS Classics Volume 2, Switch and PC on May 10th. What's NIS Classics? Is that?
NIS
It's
is a
Nippon
developer.
Ichi Software.
Oh, okay. This War of Mine Final Cut makes its way to PS5 and Xbox Series consoles on May 10th. Unpacking, which is currently on Xbox Game Pass, and Grant Henry, who does the music for this show, highly recommends that game.
Oh, I do too. It's so relaxing.
I still have to try it. PS4 and PS5 May 10th. Source of Madness comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC May 11th. Infinite Links Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC May 12th. Seven Pirates H. What a weird title for a game. Seven Pirates H. On Switch May 12th. Airy, A New Frontier on Xbox One, Switch, and PC May 13th. And lastly, Evil Dead the Game, coming to PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC May 13th. And Zach was sure to put in there the comment of groovy. Thank you, Zach. So, CB,
Yes,
I already
you.
know which game you're interested in.
I only shop at S-Mart.
Shop smart. Shop
S Smart.
But to be clear, Evil Dead is not there's not like a story mode or anything. This is just like a multiplayer.
It's
Like-
Friday the 13th, the game, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead style.
Yeah.
And who cares? Because it's got Bruce Campbell, boy.
It
Yep.
does. You can play as Ash Williams.
Does
Does he have his boomstick?
He does.
Mhm.
And that iconic, wonderful chainsaw.
Yeah. It's like attached to his arm.
I've actually been waiting since this got like announced.
I feel like I requested a copy of that for you like a year ago.
It was over a year ago because we were sitting there at E3 when they announced it, and I was like, now, right now,
Yeah.
this is mine.
Yes, I know CB's all over that one. What about you, Alyssa? Anything stand out to you?
I definitely want to try Ayuden Chronicle Rising because it will be on Game Pass.
Mhm.
So it looks up my alley. I'll try it at some point.
Is it sad that I know a game is going to be up Alyssa's alley just by reading the name? Like, that sounds Japanese.
I think
Alyssa's gonna love
everyone can figure it out by now.
I honestly looked at the like some of the little trailers for these, and Seven Pirates H. I was like, that's Alyssa too.
I need to watch that trailer now.
It's very cute.
There you go. As for me, I just want to play more Rogue Legacy 2, so I probably will not be checking anything out, although,
How dare you?
I mean,
I need someone to play with.
if you get it, I'll play it with you, but
I already pre-ordered.
I'll play it with you too if I get it.
Yes.
but I would like to check out Unpacking, but it's on Game Pass, so I'll play it there instead of PlayStation. But let's go ahead and talk about the new games. Alyssa, you have been playing Trek to Yomi. I am really interested in what this game is because the trailer looks all black and white, but it looks very samurai-ish. I don't understand how this game works. Like, how does the gameplay work?
The gameplay is very simple, and you pretty much figure out the combat fairly quickly in the game.
Mhm.
You do learn a few more techniques as it goes along, but it's pretty much you just push XX upwards to do an upward strike, downwards to do a downward strike, or just XX and no direction to do a straight stab. But you are playing as a samurai, and you are Hiroki, and as a child, your village is ambushed, and you are trying to save your sensei, and it's not really a spoiler. He is protecting you, he's killed. And years later, you are an adult Hiroki, and you're on the journey to these different areas to, again, avenge your sensei and to protect your village. So, I would say, is it 2.5D? Because you're going left and right mostly. You do occasionally go towards the camera down a path.
It's 2.5D because every now and then, like transition areas, it'll move to like a little bit of a 3D environment.
Mostly 2.5D though.
Yeah.
But I love the black and white. I love how it feels like a Kurosawa film with the film grain, and I think the voice acting's great. It is only in Japanese with English subtitles.
Have you noticed, Alyssa, that even the cutscenes feel very Kurosawa?
Oh, they do.
Like just the angles that they're shot at and everything. I'm like even the loading screens and the cuts, it'll give you like Japanese script, but it has like film grain to it. Even
when you're selecting the difficulty options is in kanji.
Yeah.
But once you go over the kanji, it tells you what it is.
It is beautiful.
It looks beautiful in the trailer. CB, we're going to sit down. I've never seen Seven Samurai. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's like a copy less than 3 feet away from me. I love Akira Kurosawa.
Never seen any of them, and I hear about it all the time. But so you're recommending Trek to Yomi?
I do so far. The combat is getting a little repetitive for me, besides when new enemies are introduced, and I have to kind of figure out but where to strike them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't come across a boss encounter yet. I know there are at least a few in the game. I'm not super far into it, but I'm loving the aesthetic, the story. I like going and finding these little environmental areas where you can maybe, cut up a rope and some logs fall on the enemy, so then you don't have to fight them yourself. And there are these little nooks and crannies where you can find extra health and stamina increases or collectibles or extra ammunition, which is shurikens. It's really cool.
And this is on Game Pass. You don't even have to pay for this if you have Xbox, right?
That's true.
You don't have to pay extra for it, I guess I should say.
It is wonderful in its simplicity, but yet complex through its story.
Ooh,
that's very true.
Look at you.
That's a perfect explanation.
Yeah,
you can have that for the written review, Alyssa.
I'm not going to take that from CB.
Even though he said it, I'm just giving it to you.
I will gift this to you.
Okay, thank you.
I need to check that one. Did you play it, CB?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you played it as well.
It's Kurosawa-esque. I'm going to play it.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, it is a wonderful title.
Very cool.
So, speaking of strange things in a strange land, tell me about Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Scott.
Well, I've been wanting to play this, so I want to know.
Okay. I mean, this is going to be a tough sell for you, C, because you don't like looter shooters. It's Borderlands. It is very, very much Borderlands, but they've done some very different things with this that I wasn't even expecting. If you're not familiar with this, check out the trailer. It pretty much tells you all you need to know. You play as a D&D character in Tiny Tina's D&D campaign. She's doing a campaign with 2 other characters and you as the new character. And you start out and you roll a character. And this is interesting to me because I just played my first D&D campaign, or I'm in the middle of my first D&D campaign with you and Kevin and Nate and Spencer and Jacob. And I had no idea what it meant to roll a character. I just thought that was a video game terminology when I said, I'll just roll another character in Borderlands. And that actually, no, it's like talking about, D&D. You actually roll dice and all that kind of stuff. Now, you don't actually roll dice in here to get your stats, but there is so much customization. You know how in past Borderlands games, you just pick one of 4 characters, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And this one, no. You pick a male or female character, and you have customizations that would make Skyrim jealous.
Ooh.
In terms of just the depth that you go with this. I think Skyrim's is still better, but I mean, you're talking about color schemes and eyebrows and eyes and all this kind of stuff, but then you actually pick a class. So you're not necessarily picking one of a set group of characters. You're picking a class, and each class has certain strengths and weaknesses, just like in a character in D&D. But then you get to put in certain points, kind of Fallout style. You got the special things, but instead of special, it's all like charisma and intelligence and all the stuff that is now not foreign language to me because I've been playing D&D for so long. And you just do a character and you play to your strengths, and from that point on, it is Borderlands, but it's set in a medieval world where guns exist.
So let me guess. You chose a ranged character.
There is not a ranged character. That's the thing, is like, this is very much a you have an enemy, you have a character or a class that has, a special ability that is a bow, but you're going to change that ability anyway. You're going to get new abilities. So I actually asked, back up story a little bit. The only reason I purchased this game, even though I kind of wanted to play it, but the only reason I actually purchased it, I have a student at my school that has been obsessed with the release of this game. He plays on PC, and he got it at release and has been playing it. And I needed a way to get him to do his homework. Oh. So I made a deal with him and said, if he made it an entire week, did all his homework, that I would pick up the game and I would play it with him. It worked. He did his homework. And so I was on the phone with his mom and on Discord and set up a Discord channel for us to be able to play together. And we played on Sunday. And he had so much fun. He came to school telling everybody about it. And
that's so cute.
Yeah, he was teaching me how to play the game. And
Aww.
It was really funny because he came real close to spoiling something for me.
Oh.
He's talking about something. Well, this is pretty cool, but later on, something even cooler happens. And I was like, dude, don't spoil it for me. And I could hear his mom in the background, who heard me say that, say, no spoilers! Like yelling at him, like, don't you dare spoil anything for him, no spoilers! Which I thought was pretty funny, because she's a gamer too, so it was awesome. So anyway, he and I are going through playing this game, and like I said, it's very much Borderlands. You get a weapon, you find a new weapon, but you're now, instead of just picking up weapons, you're also picking up new magic spells. You're picking up new talents, things that you've got. You know how in Borderlands you always have that one ability that with the RB button that you use. Like when I was the ranged character, it was his hawk that would come down and attack everybody, and that stayed the same throughout the entire game. Well, you've got one that stays the same throughout the entire game, but then you have a spell slot that you find new spells that are that are loot stat based, just like the weapons were in Borderlands. You've got the armor and all that kind of stuff too. One of my favorite things was in Borderlands, when you get shot or you get knocked down, and then somebody revives you, or you shoot somebody and you get back, they call it a second wind. In this one, they call it a saving throw or a death save. They call it a death save, which is, again, now that I know how D&D works, I know what a death save is. It's just little stuff like that. It's very much D&D. You have encounters. There's an overworld. So you remember, like in Borderlands, you're used to just be a big open world environment, right? You just run around and you find a quest and you go do that. On this one, you start out the game that way, but then you eventually come to an open world where you're actually on the tabletop that Tiny Tina is playing on. So there's like cheese puffs and thumbtacks and stuff strewn all about, and you're actually moving your character, who looks like he's in giant head mode, in third person, moving around the map, and that's where you find your quests and stuff. And then you'll actually have random encounters where you'll have to go into like this little arena and clear out a bunch of fight these random enemies, collect some loot, and then you survive the encounter, just like in D&D. I don't know. It's like a D&D version of Borderlands, which I know is not going to be enough to sell you on it, CB, because you don't like looter shooters. And I guarantee you, I know Zach is listening because he actually listens to the show. Zach will absolutely hate this game because the humor is, it's very
dumb.
Tiny Tina. Well, I mean, it's not pop culture dumb like Borderlands 2 was. You know what I mean? Like Borderlands 2 always did like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Top Gun and stuff like that, which I loved. I thought was great. This one is just Tiny Tina yelling and saying things that, and I know he hates that character, so he's gonna hate this game. But I am having a good time with it. I plan to continue to play with this student. I'm not saying his name on purpose just because I don't want to get in trouble. But if he does his homework, I will play with him again. So not regretting the purchase. And I got lucky when I went to pick it up. It was actually on sale for like 15-20% off or something like that. So
very nice.
Digging it. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. If you like Borderlands, there's probably a good chance you're going to like this, especially if you like D&D, because it's very tongue-in-cheek D&D. The dialogue seems somehow even more juvenile, though, even though it's like in a medieval setting. Like you'll come across like knights and stuff that still talk in a British accent, but they still have Borderlands humor, which is just weird, but it kind of works in a weird way. So I don't know. It was fun. I kind of wish I had a way to record it or stream it so you guys could have seen me interacting with this student, because he's a good kid, and it was a lot of fun. So Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I would recommend it. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and move in. I want to remind everybody about our social media outlets. First off, facebook.com/groups/thegocast. If you'd like to join our community, keep updated with all the episodes and any news-related items we come across, or fun memes and video game stories, be sure to check that out. We'd love to have you over there. Also, Discord. We've got a link in the show notes for this episode. If you'd like to join it, please click on it. Join it. We will accept anybody and everybody. And we got a couple new members over there. First off, Dragonborn. That's my student, by the way. That's all I'll refer to him as, Dragonborn.
Very
and
cool
also,
name.
Tim, I'm going to say Thien. I apologize, Tim. Is it Thien? It looks phonetically like Thine, but I want to say it's pronounced Thien. But welcome. He's already fit in well in the community over there and like in the conversation. So also, I think that was the first time he's used Discord, he said. So welcome, man. It actually is. I really like Discord. I like that you can just kind of segment out the different conversations and go where you want to and avoid where you don't want to talk to. So highly recommend that. Also, if you get a chance, drop us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Actually, it's not iTunes anymore. Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, wherever you listen to shows. We would really love it if you dropped us a review, and we will read it on the show. And then lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. Again, you can find all of our episodes there, and you can also find our written reviews. In fact, by the time you hear this, you'll see Zach's review for Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which he played on the Switch for us. Again, thegamingoutsider.com. And now we're going to jump into our From the Outside In topic. Well, CB is excited because he finally gets to be part of Community Questions this week. Yes.
Yay.
Every first episode of the month. Okay, this month it was the second episode of the month. We ask all of you for conversation-starting questions for us to answer here on the show. You all delivered once again, so let's dive right into it. Starting off on Facebook. I'll go ahead, read one, and then we'll go Alyssa, then CB. First off, this one comes from Sean Coates. He says, what are some non-horror games that had either a level, a segment, or story moment that scared the crap out of you? For me, it's the sewer level from Shadows of the Empire. Those Dianoga trash monsters creeped me out as a kid, not to mention the final boss is a giant version of said monster. It got so bad that I loaned my copy to a buddy of mine to beat it for me. To this day, I still get uneasy playing that level, and I still haven't deleted the save file my friend did over 25 years ago, just so I don't have to play it. That's a great story. What about you guys? Any games that had something in it that freaked you out that wasn't a horror game?
Well, I remember as a kid playing the original Tomb Raider with my uncle. The first time I went into the jungle area, and, you know, in the original Tomb Raider, when you get to the area, you keep hearing these, like, thumping noises. And then you get to this opening, and the T-Rex comes out of nowhere, and that always scared me.
Yeah?
Even after I knew it was going to happen. Just seeing that T-Rex, and back then that seemed like just enormous and scary. You look at it now, it's just a bunch of pixels, but it was just, and it was a tough enemy to beat, too. But I remember just, yeah, that would scare me.
All right, CB, what about you?
I really can't think of any at the moment. It takes a lot to scare me. I mean, you've seen the stuff that I've seen, Scott.
Well, yeah, but think about like when you were a kid.
I know. I'm trying to. but when I was a kid, like I played Nintendo games, man.
Yeah, true. You were a kid when 64 came out.
I didn't have a 64.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's why it was like I read this question and I'm sitting here thinking like what really got me? I mean, I guess like my Oculus Quest, like the first time playing like Richie's Plank Experience.
Okay, yeah,
like that definitely gets you.
It does. I had so much fun bringing that to school and messing with kids in that game. That was great. I got one, but you're gonna laugh at me.
Probably.
I mean, I'm talking back to Atari 2600 days.
CB's face.
But like, because it was stressful, this is like, my first foray into playing games and actually controlling something on a character. And those dragons in the original adventure used to freak me out when I was a kid, man.
The seahorses?
They looked like seahorses, yes. But like, because I had never had something chase me and try to kill me outside of like, ghosts and in Pac-Man and stuff like that. But that wasn't, that was all like comical, and adventure was like, you were on an adventure and I was a character, even though all I was a little dot carrying an arrow for a sword. But those little dragons kind of freaked me out a little bit. That, and this is even worse, the doctors in E.T. that would like hunt you down.
I will actually give you that, because those things were, as being like a 4 or 5 year old at the time, like that was kind of creepy.
And the only way that you could get away from was go down that stupid pit that was like annoying to get out of. And then you'd like raise your neck and then go back up, and like, but it was just that constant just like ding, 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 as they would like chase you and they would hunt you down. That used to like kind of freak me out as a kid. So
yeah. I can definitely kind of see that, because like it's been a long time since I was 5 years old.
Right. I mean, things scared you when you were a kid like crazy. I was scared to death of the original Ghostbusters movie. That scene at the very beginning where the books like floated across the thing sent shivers up my spine as a kid. And then the librarian that turns into a demon or whatever, that I never made it past that scene when I was a kid. And it's a freaking comedy movie.
Oh yeah, as a kid, I was afraid of everything. I love horror now, but I couldn't watch Gremlins. As soon as the Mogwai would turn into Gremlins, I would start screaming, and my uncle would have to eject the VHS tape out every single time.
Okay, I want you guys to help me find it, because I cannot find the name of this movie, but there was a movie, it might have been a made-for-TV movie when I was a kid, and it scared me absolutely to death so much. I never finished it, but I had nightmares for weeks when I was a kid.
Okay.
It was like a ghost-busting kind of movie. I felt like it was made for TVs, but they weren't hunting ghosts. They were hunting something called snarks. SNARKS. And I have no idea what this movie was. I want to go back and just see how ridiculously childish I was to be scared of this movie, because I cannot find it. It was like the adventures of something, or the incredible something that did this, and they fought ghosts called snarks. And it scared me to death. But anyway, you're Googling it already, man.
I can't help it, because I'm just trying to think of like what it would be. Well, if you want to talk movies, you wanted a movie freaked me out as a kid.
Huh?
Flight of the Navigator.
Really?
I've never seen that movie.
The first time you see the robot.
Oh, when he's like talking in like a weird language, and then he's like, "Sit down, navigator."
I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah. For me, it was Return to Oz.
That movie would scare any kid.
Oh my god, those wheelies or whatever those things were called, the wheelers or wheelies.
Yeah, like that movie was an atrocity. First off,
that was nightmare fuel for when I was a kid. So
it's funny though, because Alyssa's like the Gremlins. Believe it or not, when I was a little kid, my parents bought me like the big like picture books. They found one that was the story of Gremlins, but it was 7 books. But they also came with a record, that the record would actually read the book to you.
Nice.
So here I am, like this kid with like brightly colored picture books with Gremlins in it.
All right, Alyssa, you want to take the next one?
I will. The next one comes from Normie Late, and she asks, what is a scenario in a game that you have been able to use in the real world?
I haven't talked to Normie in a long time. Normie is a teacher as well, or at least she was last time I talked
She's very sweet.
She's a super sweet lady. Yeah. Boy, scenario in a game you've been used in the real world. CB, do you have one?
How to calculate bullet drop?
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
I mean, well, okay, so when I'm a kid, like when you're a kid, like when you were playing like early games when they actually did simulate some bullet drop, like you actually had to raise the scope to factor in. So
Right.
growing up, like the first time I actually went out not hunting, but target shooting with my uncle,
Mm-hmm.
like I remembered like, ooh, farther out, raise up on the reticle to shoot farther.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. Alyssa, how about you?
I have looked at this question and I cannot think of a single thing.
No? Whenever I hear a question like this, it always thinks of like those posters from when I was a kid that says, everything I learned in life, I learned from blank, insert whatever pop culture reference you have. I had one in my classroom that was everything I learned in life, I learned from Star Wars. Then it had things like quotes on it like this says, always let the Wookiee win, things like that.
I guess you could say, you're going the right way if there are enemies.
Okay. Yeah. If they're enemies, you're going the right way.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of messed up the phrasing, but yeah.
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, similarly, what I was thinking was, if you're, this sounds weird, but like, have you ever been like in like a corn maze or something like that? Like at Halloween, they do this corn mazes.
Yeah.
And like I use some like actual strategies that I use in going through 3D mazes in video games. Like always follow the outside wall and then you'll eventually get there that way kind of thing. I've used that. Stuff with businesses, like I've played a lot. Like this is a goofy example, but I love this game called Cook Serve Delicious, which was a restaurant simulator where you have to actually build all this stuff and manage a business. And take all the people's orders and make their orders perfect. And I don't know, those executive functioning skills, I feel like I've carried on to multitasking a little bit and, running my own business because it was more about just the dexterity. So that's all that comes to mind. Go ahead.
I've used some of the recipes off like the Cooking Mama games.
Have you really?
Yeah, they work.
They're actual real recipes. They're not just like, just made up?
On some of them.
Okay.
They actually are real recipes.
Nice.
I think the first time I made a shepherd's pie was using a DS.
Oh.
Wow.
Because
nice.
I also have the America's Test Kitchen one where like it has a recipe book in it.
Oh, that's cool.
They're actual things. I was really hoping you were going to be like, yeah, I was just walking through the building the other day and just I noticed on the ground there was like some health packs, and I knew there was a boss battle coming up.
Yeah.
As I walked by the principal's office.
Have you seen those memes of like it's like a wall, and there's clearly a cave that there with rubble there.
Yeah.
This is like, I need to bomb this wall. Yeah.
Oh, or the best is when you see when they've actually like bricked up an old window, but the bricks are a different color. They're like, if video games have taught me anything, there's a secret entrance here.
Yep, exactly. So those kinds of things are for sure. I mean, I could kind of cheat and say that even though Guitar Hero didn't teach me how to play guitar, I still feel like that rhythm games did help me with my rhythm when I was doing music theory and things like that, or actually trying to sing in a band, in Rock Band, did you ever do the vocals in Rock Band?
No, because I cannot sing.
Okay. Well, what they do is it actually shows where the pitch is supposed to be, and then it shows where your voice is, so you can kind of actually raise your pitch and lower your pitch. It showed me how flat I actually was when I thought I was on key, so that was interesting.
Believe it or not, there's actually a couple that you don't even realize that we all have now.
What's that?
Faster pattern recognition and finger dexterity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
True.
Yeah. Like Scott, you've seen some of the shmups I play. Mm-hmm. Like pattern recognition is something that like is almost second nature to me now, and it gets annoying.
But how do you use that in real life?
So my wife actually hates this, but I don't like the first time I drive somewhere, I'll use GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Then I almost never need to use it again because I'm actually using landmark like pattern recognition. Be like, oh yeah. I remember this rock here. Okay, go down 3 streets, make a left. There's a tree that looks like this, and so you just kind of learn.
Oh yeah, That is not
like
me.
that.
Do you know how many times I actually had your address in my GPS to get to your house? Like how many months before I was able to just do it?
I could actually go turn by turn to your house from memory. Like sitting in this chair, I can actually tell you exactly how to get there.
Well, I mean, now I can because I've known you for several years, but
sitting here, even in the house that I'm in now,
Mhm.
I can exactly tell you how to get to your house, past what businesses, on what streets.
Oh yeah. I mean, my thing is like where you used to live was on another side of town that I hardly ever went to. So like my only time on that side of town was when I went to your house. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Again, now that I've known you for 3, 4, 5, how many years have we known each other?
A while.
Yeah. You know, I could do the same thing, but I had your address in my GPS and I would actually like do that for a long time. So I don't have that. Anyway, moving on. CB?
All right. Mark Szymanski wants to know, is there any VR system even close to a must-own? Yes.
I think we're going to disagree here.
The Oculus Quest 2.
I think it's good. I just don't feel like it's I don't know.
I personally think it is a must-own. Okay, this is going to sound really weird, but I actually think it's a must-own if you live in an apartment.
Why an apartment?
Because watching movies on it and Netflix is so much better.
Really? I've never done that, actually.
Because it simulates a 104-inch screen.
Oh, okay.
So,
and then you got this surround sound like right in your head probably too.
Right in your head, but you can also lay down in bed.
I like that.
Dude,
it can't be comfortable though, can it?
Yes, it is.
My wife played the 2.
Hates it because I'll fall asleep with it on, and she'll sit here and be like, "Take that stupid thing off." But no, I actually think the Oculus for the price point that it's at is a phenomenal piece of hardware if utilized correctly. Especially the fact that you can now use virtual desktop on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do Zoom meetings in it, man.
That's true.
You could literally walk around your house and not be tied to something and just be like do 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 do. And because with the Oculus's motion sensing stuff, so like if you get too close to something, the screen grays and it actually turns to the cameras in front of you. So you're not just going to bump into things.
That's weird.
I
don't know.
It's a trip.
Granted, I haven't played the 2. I still need to try yours. I've got the 1, and it's sitting in my closet doing nothing, just because I just never feel super compelled to play anything. It's something that I have out to show people that have never experienced VR before, and you know, get a laugh and say, hey, this is what it can do. I think it's impressive tech, but I don't know if I would call it must own unless you're just really into VR. And I'm assuming Mark isn't into VR because he doesn't have one, it sounds like, but you can speak to the Quest 2 better than I can.
It is also an absolute blast for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like it to me, VR has finally moved beyond that like gimmick phase.
Well, I'll let you know when I play Half-Life, Alex, because I still haven't been able to play that game.
Yeah.
That will be my deciding factor, because I've just heard amazing things about that, and I don't have the ability to play it. So, can you play that on the Quest 2 yet?
No. Well, yes and no.
You got to have like a Steam Link. You got to hook it to a computer.
Yeah, you have to have Steam Link. But there is another game on my Quest that you need to play.
What's that?
Resident Evil 4.
I don't want to.
You don't want to play with zombies?
No, it's just like I mean, I'm guessing it controls better than the original, because I just hate the controls of the original. But there's something about wearing a headset for that long that just feels like I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, I mean, that's you.
I mean, I played pinball for 45 minutes in VR. Pinball is one of my most favorite things in the world to do, and I took that thing off, and it was a relief. I guess you get used to it, but
that's the problem, is you don't wear it enough.
I know.
I wear mine all the time.
What was that Spider-Man shmup game that you had too? It wasn't actually Spider-Man, but that game you reviewed where you're zipping around like Spider-Man. Swarm.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love that game.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah. I let one of my students play that game, and he was like, "This is awesome," and I still haven't played it. Gotta try it sometime.
See, like that's the problem. You need to try some of the newer stuff that's come out, man.
I know, but dude, some of the newer stuff I play and I start to get a little queasy in the stomach
Legacy
area.
2.
Yeah, that's my thing with VR.
Yeah.
I've only played a PlayStation VR. I don't own anything. And I had fun with the PSVR. There was one game that made me motion sick, but I cannot remember the name of it. It was a horror game. But
I played a kart racing game.
Home Sweet Home?
Sick to my stomach.
Yes, it was Home Sweet Home.
See, that's how well I know my VR.
I made it like about 10 minutes and I was like, nope, I gotta quit.
Dude,
I scared the crap out of Christina with that game.
Did you?
That was a game that I actually came up and like grabbed her while she was playing it.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, again, I was playing pinball on my Quest. And when I was playing pinball, that's fine. But when you actually like walk around like your game room or whatever, if you set it to where like it moves, it's fine. But if you do like the teleport thing, my brain like just didn't like the fact that I wasn't moving like I actually move in real life. So the teleporting was a no for me.
Did you played Blood and Truth, right?
Some, yes. I played some. I didn't finish it, but that was a pretty cool game.
Yeah. I will say, Mark, if you're in any way, shape, or form motion sick, I would steer clear of the Quest for right now, because the PSVR actually does have one very good thing about it. That darn cable that runs out of it, it reminds you that you are standing still. So when you're playing something, so it kind of grounds you, whereas the Quest 2, you don't have that.
Yeah, we should be clear. The Quest, you don't even have to have it hooked to a computer or anything. Everything is completely internal. So you literally just put this headset on and put 2 controllers in your hands, and that's it. There's no cables. You're not tethered to anything. I like that. And that Star Wars Dojo game where you're like blocking, those what do they call them?
I just realized something else. Like, we can't call it the Quest 2 anymore.
We can't.
Oh, it's the Meta.
It's the Meta 2.
The Meta 2. Yeah.
Yeah, God, stupid name.
I know it's still the Quest. Isn't it just called the Meta Quest?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, before it was like the Oculus Quest. Now it's the Meta Quest.
Meta Quest, yeah.
Stupid name.
All right, moving on. Paul Hine asks, was there a game mechanic that just ruined a game for you? You loved playing, but this one weird thing popped up and just soured the experience. For example, my brother and I loved this game on PS2 called Way of the Samurai. It had interesting sword combat, branching storylines, and really neat settings. But it had this infuriating save system, still not sure how it worked, that essentially meant you had to play through the whole game in one sitting or leave the console running. And if you messed up once, back to the beginning you go. While short, only a couple hours at best, this really stuck in my craw all these years later. Thank you, Paul, for that question. I've got one, but let's see if you guys have one first.
I don't know if you'd really consider it a mechanic, but I really loved Brutal Legend besides the RTS aspect.
You know, it's so funny you say that because mine is very, very similar. I love Brutal Legends up until that RTS stuff or tower defense stuff, and I was like, I just don't want to play this anymore.
I know. It was so good, and then it hit that, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Mine is very similar. Mine was Assassin's Creed Revelations. Which, I was really digging, and then all of a sudden, there's this whole segment that is tower defense. And I just had absolutely no interest in doing tower defense, and I still to this day don't know how that game ends. Other than the very obvious spoiler thing that I won't say right here, but yeah, I missed out. That is the only Assassin's Creed game except for Valhalla now that I have not finished. No, that's not true. I didn't do the one that was only on like Vita for a while. They did port it to Xbox. Liberation.
Yeah,
I never finished that one either, but
shame on you.
It looked good, but so yeah, mine was also for almost the exact same reason. It wasn't RTS, but it was tower defense. And I was just like, you put in my least favorite type of gameplay style into a game series that I loved and completely ruined it. I never went back to the game.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, mine shouldn't be that easy. Mine's not that hard to pick out. It's just called Borderlands.
Shut up.
Everything about like
that's not a mechanic. It's a game that you like, but had a mechanic that ruined it for you.
Okay,
you never liked Borderlands.
You know just as well as I do. I love shooters.
Mm-hmm.
I do not mind looter shooters because I played a crap load of Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I also played this other game called World of Warcraft, which is a giant looter game. There's just Borderlands. There's something about that game that just bleh. I think I would rather be hit in the face with a 5-iron.
Oh my goodness. I don't understand.
That's some massive hatred.
And I've tried.
Have you tried playing with people?
Yes. I've tried playing with you.
You played for 45 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's because you bailed on me.
I did not, sir. I did not bail on you whatsoever.
I stayed online for another 40 minutes, and you were nowhere to be found. But I've tried Borderlands 1 with multiple people. I've tried Borderlands 2 with multiple people. I tried Borderlands 3 with you for an hour and a half. But there's just something, I don't know what it is, because on paper, that game is everything that I should like.
It's Diablo in first person.
Yeah, but that game just irritates the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is, because I love Diablo.
Is it the art style? Is it the humor?
The art style doesn't really bother me either. And the humor, you know me, I love dumb humor.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't... maybe it's just the way it's put all together, but that game just... Ugh.
So you can't put your finger on what it is, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. If somebody could please explain to me why I hate this game so much, I would appreciate it. Just tell me. Because I've tried. Tales from the Borderland, the Telltale game. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So, right there, the animation style is very similar. The jokes are very similar. I love other shooters.
Could it be the combat?
Well, the combat is... it's a
he could be a tank
shooter.
character. That's yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what it is.
I'm just trying to find reasons.
I guess I can take 2 out of 3 on the list, but when the moment you add all 3 of them together, I'm just all right, nope, we're good here, bro.
It's just overstimulation. That's why you don't like it. There's too much good things going on in this game. I hate it.
I like overstimulation too. I love just the things. Ikaruga, plain and simple. That game is nothing but overstimulation.
That's true. I hate that game.
So I don't know what it is. Other than that, there's one other one that irritates the crap out of me, and I absolutely adore the game Alien Isolation.
Okay, now you got my attention because I know you love that game.
But I hate the save system in that game so much.
How does the save system work?
It was with the floppy disk, right?
Yeah, you have to shove the floppy disk in and then wait for the lights to come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the movie?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so, I get the aesthetic from it, but it just, with a game that's so high intensity and fast paced,
mm-hmm.
that you're just ka-chunk, blink, blink. I'm like, oh no, stop this, please. The thing is behind me.
Oh yeah, because you're still being stalked at that time, right?
Yep, still being stalked.
Oh.
So I'm sitting here, because there's so many there was one time I remember, mad dash to the save thing, and as soon as I got to it, the animation started, dead.
Oh, really?
And
I know you love that game.
Yeah, I love that game a lot. I want a sequel.
I know you do. All right, let's go on to the next one. Alyssa, you're up.
Okay, next up is Rusty. They say, many of my gamer pals are also into comic books. Any comic books or graphic novels you all are into / recommend, but we also have a note from Zach, who could not be with us today. How dare this question be asked without me? Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern is my personal favorite story in fiction. So starting with Green Lantern, Secret Origin there is great. Superman up in the sky will forever make you forget about the claims the character is unrelatable, and the current run of Nightwing seems on course to be a masterpiece. Okay, have fun. Batmite out.
So yeah,
Batmite.
Poor Zach couldn't be here for that one, but Rusty, thank you for that. If you want more recommendations, at the end of each episode, we always do some kind of non-video game related, and Zach, more often than not, recommends some kind of comic book run, and sometimes CB does too. And Alyssa likes her manga, so I'm the weirdo that doesn't read anything physical like you guys. Yeah, I'll try. So I don't really have anything.
I'm gonna make you do the Cersei. We're just gonna shame you.
Fun fact: the woman that does that scene, the shame rings the bell, is in Ted Lasso. She's one of the main characters in Ted Lasso. Anyway, I don't have any recommendations personally. The only comic I think I've ever read is Shadow of the Empire. I think I have an issue of Shadow of the Empire somewhere. Oh, you know what? I will say I have read the entire run of Y: The Last Man, which is more a graphic novel than a comic book, but that was really good. I read that and then actually gifted it to a friend after I picked it up because I thought she would like it as well. So, Y: The Last Man. It's a story about exactly what it says. A guy is the last man alive in a post-apocalyptic deal. He's the only man. Everyone else is a woman, so they're rebuilding the entire thing all the way up to the government. Is all women except for this one guy that everyone's shocked to find he's the last man. They tried to do an FX series on it, didn't they?
I think so.
On Hulu, yeah.
Or Hulu, yeah. I never watched it. I feel kind of bad.
They canceled it during its first season before it even ended.
So I was like, I'm not even gonna bother if they're just gonna cancel it before it's done. So, but the graphic novel is really good. What about you guys? Any that you'd like to recommend?
I'll let you go first, Alyssa.
I have comic and manga.
Of course.
I'll try not to be too long with it, but comic-wise, I really like the original run of Jessica Jones. I haven't read the newer issues of it, but the original run that sort of inspired the Netflix series was really good. There was a series called Nailbiter, which is it's mature and it's gross, but it's about a serial killer who he has to help the cops with these other killings going on, but he has a very disturbing crime he does that I don't want to talk about in the podcast because it's gross. And then one called Witches, which is just one single comic book or graphic novel, I guess you should say. And that one creeped me out. I don't remember much about it, but I remember it is about witches and they're evil witches. And by the end of it, I was really creeped out. So those are comics and graphic novels I recommend. For manga, I'm just going to list titles. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on social media. But my favorites are A Sign of Affection, Sweat and Soap, Perfect World, Something's Wrong with Us, Chainsaw Man, Spy Family. I think I covered everything there. My favorites. I've read a lot more, but those are my favorites.
All right, cool. CB?
All right. Oh boy. Can of worms opened. Hellblazer. Plain and simple, absolutely adore the series. John Constantine is one of my favorite characters of all time. The BRPD series, which is the basis for Abe Sapien, Hellboy. Fantastic fun. Also Dark Horse Comics. So, Spider-Man, specifically, I absolutely love anything post issue 300. Superior Spider-Man, if you want to read a really interesting one, it's where basically Spider-Man isn't in control of his body anymore, it's somebody else. And it brings a lot of interesting mythos about Spider-Man to the forefront. And if I'm going to throw one manga out there, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I've watched some of the show.
Phenomenal. You watched the crappy version of the show.
What do you mean the crappy version?
You watched the Netflix bastardization.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
They kept waiting for it to get a lot.
Yeah. That's why I haven't seen it yet, because it's just not streaming anywhere else besides Netflix.
I feel like the show that I watched, it was always on the verge of going to some dark, dirty places, and it never did.
That's why.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch Neon Genesis, you basically have to watch the Platinum version, which is wow.
Yeah.
But it is a phenomenal series. I think it was almost like somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes cut per episode.
Holy cow.
On Netflix. Yeah, there's a bit that they censored out.
Well, now I'm curious.
So-
Now I'm going to go start it over again. I don't even know where to watch that now.
I will loan you my copy.
It's not available to stream anywhere. I've checked, and I am subscribed to the 2 anime streaming services that are available.
I got super lucky, and I picked up the box set at a garage sale for $10.
Like on DVD?
Yeah.
Wow. How many discs is
that? It's 9 discs.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
only like 26 episodes.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a very, very consumable. So
You should put that on like a Plex server or something.
I should.
You should.
So.
All right. Well, you were up, sir.
All right. Mr. Kevin Honigford.
You are going to read this one, huh?
Yep. It has been discussed at lengths how people that would get rid of Genesis, if given the chance, are just crappy people that are beyond the point of feeling sorry for. Why do you think Gravity exists?
He's referring to me because of several episodes ago, we talked about like which console would you get rid of if you had to. And I made the mistake of suggesting that the Genesis was not my favorite console, and I have not been able to live it down ever since. So, yeah.
Did you really think that I wouldn't read this?
I actually had deleted it, and then you questioned me. So
Yep, I am questioning you. But no, he legitimately asked the question, Scott. Why do you think gravity exists?
Why do I think gravity exists? So that we don't fly off the planet? I don't know. Like, that seems pretty important.
That's what I was going to say. So we just don't float off.
Yeah.
Get stuck in outer space.
Yeah, fair enough. I will go with you on that one just because that's a much deeper conversation.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Kevin. I don't love the Genesis as much as you do. My favorite was we were sitting at D&D one night, and he was talking about, they keep putting out Super Nintendo games and Nintendo games on Switch Online, but we never get any new Genesis games. And I was like, well, they must have run out. And he just gave me this dirty look. It was this look of death. It was pretty funny.
Let's put it this way. The creature that we were fighting in the D&D campaign suddenly diverted all attention to Scott's character.
It most certainly did. I didn't even put that together until
almost
just
got
now.
murder balled.
Oh, that's great. All right, Drew Ross says, and I love this question, what linear game do you think would make for a great open world game? Also, what open world game do you think would make a great linear game? I am really curious to hear what answers you guys came up with on this one, because
I have one.
What's that?
For what do I think would make a great open world game? Dead Cells.
Okay. I mean, man, think of like just a massive open world playing the same way like that. Almost like a parkour-ish. You could even actually do like wall running and stuff like that. That could be interesting.
I would love to see more mythos of that. Now, as far as a linear game, the last one that they tried for me for that, do you remember those terrible Assassin's Creed games?
What, the side-scrolling ones, the 2D ones?
China, Russia, and India.
Yeah.
I
didn't make it very far.
Those just make me nauseated. So, anytime somebody says, "Let's make an open world game linear," like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
I don't know. I was thinking like Witcher 3. Because I want to experience that story and know where that story goes, but I don't have 350 hours to devote to finishing that game.
No, because that's a game that I feel that shouldn't be cut down.
I agree. The side quests really add to the meat of the story.
I know that. I mean, the Baron side quest was better than any of the regular story I played in that game. So, I didn't finish it, but
if there was any one game I would cut down, it would be Red Dead Redemption 2.
There you go. Let's make that one a linear game, so I can. I want to know that story, but I don't want to have to shave and bathe and all that stuff.
But that's the biggest problem with that game, though, is there's so much. That's the problem with these massive open world games. There's so much fun stuff to do that I think people enjoy more. That I would hate to see it taken away. Oh wait, I got one.
Okay,
Recore.
I never played that.
You know
Recore
what?
was a game that definitely needed to be trimmed down.
Yeah, I'm agree with you on that one. Although some of the platforming stuff was so good in that too.
Okay, you can still make the platforming good, like, but just have it more like Final Fantasy X linear, where like it forces you to go through it. You can still make your platforming sections; it can still be beautiful, but just that open world feel that was just so empty because the game was unfinished.
That's a good call. I like that one. What about ones that are linear that you would like to see open world?
Dead Cells.
Oh, you said that one. Okay. This feels like a cheat, but I was going to say Mega Man. Because we did have the Mega Man... What were those PS1 Mega Man games that were kind of 3D Legends? Mega Man Legends?
Yeah.
Which were kind of open world, but...
they were still fairly linear.
I don't know. I kind of like to see that... I think that it's time to try that again with modern technology. Just blue bombing your way throughout all these things. I mean, it's a perfect setup for an open world, right? You've got 8 robot masters that each have their own world, all somehow attached.
Now you're making that game gigantic.
Huh?
Now you're making that game gigantic.
Yeah.
I almost feel that you would have to chop that up.
What, like one
the
game?
First 4 worlds.
First four worlds in one game?
And then part 2, the second 4 worlds.
Yeah, but you can't do that because then the beauty of Mega Man games are like using the powers against the other monsters or the other robot masters, right? You strip away half the game, you're stripping away half of that potential.
Oh, I just thought of another one.
Okay.
For a linear game, A Wolf Among Us.
Oh, instead of it being a story game, you actually want to have like a
Make it like LA Noire.
Oh, that'd be good. I'd love that.
Give me that.
Okay. That's interesting.
Or the Batman Telltale game.
I never got to play that.
Games.
Yeah. Except Tales from the Borderlands.
The game is so good.
It is.
That game was the perfect amount of Borderlands that I find acceptable.
It just, take out the 3D combat and you love it.
Yeah.
First person combat, whatever. All right, who's up? Alyssa?
Well, yeah. Well, did Alyssa, what did you have for linear?
I cannot think of anything. Every open world game, I wouldn't change to linear that I can think of, and every linear game I can think of, I wouldn't change to open world.
Can we get the original Friday the 13th NES game as an open world game?
I never got to play that, so...
Oh, you're lucky.
I don't know.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Doesn't even make any sense.
I mean, I've seen the when you die screen. I've seen all your friends are dead.
Well, that's the only screen everybody saw.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about the original
Jason.
NES, not like old school, not like the current like multiplayer one.
No, I meant the old school. Like it had the.
Yeah, it had the kill screen too.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Anywho, we got one more community question before we're done.
And this one comes from Caramel Bear.
Mm-hmm.
If you had the power to get rid of one gaming genre, what would that be?
Man. See, my thing here is I don't want to get rid of gaming genres, even if I don't like it, because a gaming genre I don't like, someone else does. I don't want to take that away from somebody else.
That's my answer as well.
I guess I could cheat and say gacha mobile games. Is that a genre, or is that just I
mean, I would say it's a genre.
I mean, I can't tell you the last time I played a really good mobile game. Like I don't know. I was into them for a little while, like just some of the little, puzzly type games and stuff where you could actually pay like the $2 or $3 and actually purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I paid $10 for the Mario game and remember thinking that was just outrageous. I got $10 worth of fun out of that, but everything outside of that is always like microtransactions and, play until you run out of this currency and you can buy more currency if you want to keep playing. I just hate that model, but I feel like that's more of a business model than it is a game genre. If I had to choose, though, I'd probably say battle royales. Yeah, I do like some battle royales.
I'm in the same boat.
Like but I don't want to take it away from anybody because that's like what some people only play. You know what I mean?
Okay, half the world's gonna die. You have to get rid of one.
Boy.
I'd be like, but there's still a percentage of people that like this genre, even out of the half.
Well, yeah, but half the world's gonna die if you don't pick one.
Oh, that's what I thought it meant. Like half the world had already died.
No.
Okay.
Nope. They're going to die if you don't pick.
Oh, okay. Oh, raise the stakes there. I get it.
Still battle royale for you, CB?
Yep.
Yeah.
Get them gone.
Oh man, there's very few genres I just really hate. I mean, I like some. I just don't like. I think that battle royales bug me because I just don't want that to be the direction that we're going in the future. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want everything to be a battle royale. I don't want to be like the old fart that still wants a story-based game with some fun mechanics and a single player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I've said this in the show in the past. Like, none of my students are talking about, man, I've been playing this great game that's got this awesome story. I can't wait to go home and see what happens next. It's all, I got this dance emote. And I got some V-Bucks. That's like all they talk about. Or Roblox. Have you guys played Roblox?
Nope.
No, I have not. But I know he's not my nephew, my cousin. My cousin is obsessed with Roblox and Fortnite.
I want you to go download Roblox. It's free. And just hop in and play any random game. And tell me you're not fearful for the future of the video game industry.
Oh, God.
And I don't mean that as a knock, because what they've built is obviously working. But these feel like less like games and feel like more a way to just hang out with your friends in a virtual world.
Mm-hmm. And
I hung out with my students last year. We went to a shopping cart. I stole some Doritos. They picked me up in a car. That's all we did. There was no point to the game. Not there are some. There was like a tag type game. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. What was it? PlayStation Home, where you could go and like hang out with your friends. It's like that more evolved, where you actually have an avatar you control a little bit more and have some platforming type stuff to do. But I don't know. Anything that just makes me fearful for the future of where games are going. But again, that's not a genre. So I'm going to stick with it, battle royale.
I'd say battle royale as well.
Boy, we just got rid of a third of our listenership right there, but.
I'm not saying they're not a good game and they're not fun, but it's not my cup of tea.
Oh yeah, it's not mine either.
I played the Call of Duty one. What was it? Was it Call of Duty Black Ops 4?
The game that can't count to 4?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just keep going. Anyway, thank you everybody for all those questions. That was a lot of fun. I had some good laughs. Stay tuned on our social media outlets for next week's topic. We'll be posting that in the near future. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. CB, any parting words or recommendations for everybody before we get out of here?
So, for those of you that have Netflix, go check out 3 Mile Island.
What is 3 Mile Island?
Do you remember the Chernobyl show?
Yes, I still haven't watched it.
Okay, but this is a documentary on America's Chernobyl, which was 3 Mile Island.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
That's disturbing.
I haven't heard of it either.
Ooh. So it was Chernobyl before Chernobyl. So this actually happened in the late 70s in Pennsylvania. So a little bit of education out there for you. It's an interesting story on what happened. But it's America's own nuclear meltdown.
I had no idea that happened here. So yeah, I'm kind of interested.
Yeah. So it's a great story. It's a documentary. I mean, it does have like most documentaries, it does have a little bit of a lean one side to the other, but they do bring up some interesting points on why America's kind of shied away from nuclear energy since the 80s.
Interesting. All right. 3 Mile Island, you said?
Yep.
All right. Alyssa, what about you?
So, I don't have anime or manga to recommend this week, but I do have a book. And it is a nonfiction book. It's Trejo by Danny Trejo. It's his autobiography. And I have a soft spot in my heart for Danny Trejo.
Who doesn't? He's like the nicest dude.
His story's incredible. He writes about his childhood, how he ended up in prison. Like, he went to all the major prisons, Folsom, San Quentin, you can name it, and then how he gets out of prison, his life between prison and then becoming an unlikely Hollywood movie star.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such an interesting read, and just to see what this man has gone through in his life that you didn't know about before. This man has survived a lot.
Yeah.
It's just really inspirational, and it makes you love him even more.
Nice.
And if you've seen the documentary Inmate Number 1 about him, it does have some of the same stories in it, but this book goes much further, and it is in Danny's own voice.
Nice. Why can I not think of the name of the director of the Clerks and all that?
Kevin Smith.
Thank you, Kevin Smith. I could get Kevin. I could not get the second name. Kevin Smith used to do a podcast. He might still do it for all I know. But it was one that was supposed to be it was actually Jason Mewes' podcast. It was like, Jay and Silent Bob. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they had Danny Trejo as a guest on that episode.
Was it Hollywood Babylon?
No, it was one that was like, it was supposed to be like an outlet for Jason Mewes to speak out about, going through rehab and stuff like that. And it was hilarious. I used to think it was just really funny to listen to. But they had Danny Trejo on. He just seems like the nicest guy. Like, you see him in, like, I think whenever I think of him, and you said Hollywood, I think Con Air. Like,
Oh, yeah.
where he was that, and like just tattoos everywhere. Just looks like a face full of hamburger. And then Machete. Like, he just, and he's like the nicest, biggest teddy bear dude. Like, I just, yeah. It make me want to read that book. Is there an audiobook version of it?
I am not sure.
I'm willing to bet there is.
I know the book says Danny Trejo with Donald Logg. I think that's how you say his name.
Okay.
He's another actor. I don't know if one of them maybe does the audiobook.
Gotcha.
If there is one. But,
There
I
is.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, there is.
All right. As for me, I don't have any recommendations. I would be recommending you listen to the new Coheed and Cambria album, but they pushed back the release to June. So I'm a little bummed out that I don't get to listen to the rest of that album till then, but should be listening to it right now, man.
I know. It'll be here soon.
It'll be here soon. Did you see that they're doing a one-time show with My Chemical Romance in Oklahoma City?
I know. I've been debating on whether I want to make the drive.
Tickets are so expensive. But like Oklahoma City, that would be a really cool show to go see, because I've always wanted to see My Chemical Romance. Why they're only doing one show, I don't understand.
I've seen them 3 times.
Oh, man. I want to see it so bad. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening. Would like to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Chris Behrensmeyer and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.